What's up guys, Tommy Bennett here, and today I'm going to teach you guys a bunch of habits that you may be doing that are actually making snowboarding way harder for you. So this is going to be a bit of a conceptual type of video, so make sure you stay tuned. If you guys are digging the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Also, if I miss anything, pop it down below and let me know. Alright guys, let's roll. Alright guys, before we get too far into this, I wanted to let you guys know that I have an online snowboard course where I get to help you become a freaking awesome snowboarder. And the biggest difference between the free content and the online snowboard course is you have the opportunity to actually jump on a phone call with me. I'm going to be able to discuss with you what your common problems are, give you a plan of attack on how to be awesome, and then with the content itself, I actually go way more in details, a lot more specific on how to do like freestyle skills, how to throw 360s, and how to learn new tricks. And then I have a whole section on how to like overcome fear. It's actually pretty sick. And then in addition to that, you can send me some clips. I'm going to give you direct feedback. So if you guys are interested in that, link in the description below. So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is simply body positions. There's a lot of times where we get scared, so our natural habit is to actually take our head and get close to the ground so we feel like we're not so high up in the air. So what you end up doing, and point the camera down a little bit, so we end up going like this because we want our hands to be close to the ground. We want to know that we're secure, but that actually makes snowboarding way harder, and here's the two reasons why. I'm in a very challenged position because I'm like here, my eyes are locked down on the ground. But what happens if I want to make a hillside turn because there's a small child in the way? Well, unfortunately, it takes so much energy and time to go that direction that you might end up smoking somebody, but that also means you could hit a tree. So our first thing is making sure that we're in a more of a stacked position. Essentially, our shoulders, our hips, our knees are stacked on top of the board. Our eyes are up, allowing us to be in an athletic position. You know that position we learned in high school? We want to be in that position when we snowboard. So we're nice and strong, feeling amazing. That also allows us to react to what's going on around us. I'm able to absorb the terrain. If I need to make a hillside turn, I'm already ready for that. If I need to make a toeside turn, I'm ready for that. So I'm in a better position to react to what's going on. So that's gonna be number one. All right, guys, let's keep going. So the next thing that I want to talk about is we naturally want to have a lot of fun out there, but we have to work on our spatial awareness. Essentially, it's like driving a car. As I'm going down the highway and I want to make a turn or I want to switch lanes, I don't just switch lanes because I may end up getting into a car accident at 70 miles an hour. I made sure that I was looking around so I know where everyone is. I'm also judging how fast they're going, where they're turning, what they're doing, and then what am I doing in relation to them? How fast am I traveling? How far am I jumping? So I am calculating all these things so as I do this trick that I'm not cutting somebody off or I'm not getting ran into. I see it all the time where people are snowboarding, you're so focused on your one thing, which is just doing a turn, that we end up cutting people off or we're just not aware of what's going on. So make sure your eyes are on a swivel. You're constantly looking around. Even if I'm going straight, I'm always looking over my blind spot. So I did some like frontside threes and backside threes down the fall line, but I'm evaluating where am I in relation to the traffic that's happening. So that's number two. It's gonna make it way easier and way more fun if you know where people are so that you can not get cut off, you don't get hit, and you're having a better time. One thing that makes snowboarding so much harder, and you've probably been in this situation where you're cruising down a catwalk, you lose all your speed, and us snowboarders just kind of inchworm our way through the terrain. So one big thing is being able to read our terrain so we have way more fun and we're not getting stuck all the time, because as a snowboarder that sucks. I'm actually gonna pass the microphone over to Jonathan Buckhouse and he's gonna dive in a little bit more for us.
So a big reason why you guys are having issues like slowing down on cat tracks or rolling up on really steep terrain is you guys are looking down when you're snowboarding. When you're snowboarding, keep that head up. You need to be making that turn, but also need to be looking around, one, for other people, but two, you can judge the terrain and know where you're headed based off just looking at the landscape. But also, as you're getting lower to the mountain, you gotta assume like, yo, like, I'm coming to a gully, there's probably a cat track down here. So keep your head up, look around, judge the mountain, whether that's gonna be a big roll that maybe you can do a cool stunt off of, or whether that's gonna be a roll that goes right to a cat track or a big old mogul field. Just judge your terrain, keep your head up, look and see what you're riding into, and that's gonna keep you from getting stuck, keep you from sending it into moguls, and keep you from just landing on somebody else.
Woo! Love it, let's get it. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is having a progressive thought process when it comes to doing tricks. Now, when I was 17 years old, I actually broke my back snowboarding and it was not fun. And I would say that I was not using a logical progression thought process. Essentially, what I would do is, hey, I want to do this crazy trick, and I would go huck and chuck until I landed it, but that caused me to break my back, caused me to break my wrist, and it's not that fun. But nowadays I have a thought process where, okay, I want to learn a 180 so I can be able to do a 180, and then that means I have to learn how to ride switch. Well, I'm not gonna just go to a 540 if I don't know how to ride switch and I've never done a 180. Make sure you have logical progressions for whatever tricks that you're doing. If you're trying to do a double backflip, don't just go chuck a double backflip. Learn it on trampoline, learn it in POW, then take it to a jump. Have that thought process so you are having way more fun and you're staying safe. I got a couple more videos in the playlist here on how to carve, how to do backside 360s, how to do 180s, but make sure that you are checking out the playlist because there's a whole bunch of fun stuff in there. So now we're gonna get into a subject that seems pretty basic, but it's actually pretty complicated. Now, what type of turn are you actually doing? And sometimes if you choose the wrong turn, it does not help you and you may get stuck, or it may put you in situations that you're not stoked on. So essentially there's really two types of turns. We have a carved turn and a skidded turn. So let's talk about the carved turn, then we're gonna talk about the skidded turn. Now, a carved turn essentially means that the nose of your snowboard is leading the way and your tail is following the exact path. And so essentially you're slicing the snow as you go across. The cool thing about carved turns is you're able to change directions without losing a significant amount of speed. Yeah, you're gonna lose a little bit, but not significant. We would use this actually when we're going on catwalks. We'd use this when we're trying to go fast in a border cross race, or as we take off of a jump, we actually want to be in a carved turn. Then our other turn is a skidded turn. So essentially a skidded turn is where our nose is going down the hill and our tail is on a different path. We have to have a wider footprint when we're going down the hill. Essentially, when you're doing that, you're actually putting the brake on, so you're slowing down constantly. As you saw the two clips there, you'll see that the carved turns are way more aggressive, high speed. As I do the skidded turn, they're a lot more slow. So then those skidded turns are super useful when you're doing steep terrain, right? We don't want to be mobbing down some crazy terrains. We actually use skidded turns in the trees because we're able to control our speed. We will also use that in the moguls. So if we use the wrong turn, like a carved turn in the trees, imagine how fast you will go and how you're not gonna be able to put the brakes on immediately. It's gonna be gnarly. So make sure you're using the appropriate turn. Know when to use a skidded turn, know when to use a carved turn, and it's gonna make your day way more sick. All right, let's go. We want a stance that's gonna help us be a better snowboarder. Now, there are some disadvantages to certain styles of stance. If we have too wide of a stance, essentially we limit our range of motion. We become very locked up. A lot of people wanna go wider so they have a better, you have better balance. But that balance comes at a sacrifice of your range of motion, which does hinder your ability to spin and absorb terrain because you don't go as far. So then when it comes to having a narrow stance, it does allow your board to spin really fast. A lot of people that ride only rails will do that. If you're a specific rail rider, totally get it. But if we're trying to find a stance that is as optimal as possible, we want to find something that's shoulder width wide and that our knees actually track over our toes. So I'm gonna do a squat and show you. I don't want my knees to cave in and I don't want my knees to go out. That puts a lot of vulnerability on our knees. The last thing I want to have you do is hurt your knees because then you're not going to be snowboarding and that sucks. So you want a stance that allows your knees to track over your toes. I am going to create a crazy in-depth stance video, so make sure you subscribe so you stay tuned to that. To kind of add on, getting stuck on a catwalk completely sucks. There's one thing we can do when we're not on the mountain, and that is simply waxing our snowboard. I suggest waxing your snowboard about every 2 to 4 times you go snowboard. I personally like to wax my snowboard every 3 days because I want my board to run fast so that I can go hit those jumps and hit those catwalks. If your board's feeling sticky, you're not gonna have an awesome day. So wax your snowboard. If you guys are in the Summit County area and you actually want somebody to go wax your snowboard for you, hit up the Ski Doctor. He has a mobile tuning van. He'll actually come hang out with you, go to your house and wax your whip up. All right, let's get it. Alright guys, so that's a wrap. If you guys find that stuff super useful, make sure you guys subscribe and like. Also, did I miss anything? Is there anything that I missed? If so, make sure you comment down below. Alright guys, you're amazing. Love you all. Like always, we out.